Google just launched its own AI assistant called AI Mode. In a travel context, it can help guests find travel inspiration, it can help them map itinerary, or even book part or the entirety of their trip. And if this is where travel planning is going to begin, it's important as a short-term rental manager that you know what's going on there. So that's what today's video is about. Hi, I'm Uvika Wahi from RC by Price Labs, your go-to source for short-term rental news and insights. Every week, we don't just report the news for you, but we make sense of what the news means for your short-term rental business and what to do next. This video is part of our ongoing series about the role of AI in how travelers are booking. Their behavior is changing when it comes to planning travel, getting travel inspiration, even booking their travel. Previously in this series, I have covered Perplexity Travel Inspiration Hub, as well as done a walkthrough of GuideGeek, an AI tool that allows you to use WhatsApp to book travel or to be inspired. And today I'm taking on kind of a behemoth, right? Because there are no internet users out there who don't know what Google is. I think we can safely say that. So when Google changes the way how you use the internet, then you know that that can have a significant impact on your business, no matter what kind of business you run. My goal is today to look at it from a short-term rental management lens. So without further ado, let's get into it. If you look over here in your regular search bar, another button has appeared that wasn't there before. The button labeled AI mode. A rainbow of color swirls around to kind of draw your attention to it. This is search as we know it, except with one significant change. Now there is another button in your search bar labeled AI mode. And if you hover over it, you will see a rainbow of colors swirl around. I'm looking for somewhere to go in Europe in December, perhaps for a long weekend. So my prompt is, where should I go in Europe for a long weekend in December? Hit enter, and immediately what comes next is something that we are now all familiar with, the AI overview. The AI overview in Google now appears above all your usual links for anything else. And AI overview is basically condensing findings from some trusted sources that to respond to your query. Before we go further ahead, immediately you can see in the top menu bar where you see tabs such as all, short videos, images, forums, news, etc. Another tab has been added, and it's the first one called AI mode. Now, if I click on it, it will take me to AI mode directly, or if I actually hit show more and look at the AI overview that's been generated and scroll down, at the bottom of the AI overview is another button labeled dive deeper in AI mode with the same rainbow swirl around. So with the color, you can already tell that Google really wants you to click it. But also already one thing we can already tell that this is not a sort of new environment for you to get used to. Google is presenting AI mode as an extension of its existing services, sort of like an expansion of Google search. The idea is to nudge users from casual curiosity to sort of like a fully guided planning space without you ever having to leave the Google environment. So let's find out what happens when we click on dive deeper in AI mode. Now, so this is the AI mode environment. Like any other natural language AI assistant, you can ask questions in natural language, you will get an answer. But what's different here from, let's say, ChatGPT is that to the right, you will see the sources that Google has used to come up with this answer. So you can click through to the sources if you like, or you can continue within Google AI mode. Now, my question was, where should I go in Europe for a long weekend in December? I haven't really revealed a lot about who I am, where I live, who I'm going with. So obviously the answer that I will get will be more open-ended, will be more broad-reaching. So what it's telling me is for a long weekend in Europe in December, your options range from vibrant Christmas markets and snowy escapes to milder, sunnier climates. It's presenting the dichotomy and allowing me to make up my mind about one of the environments. Popular destinations include festive cities like Berlin and Bruges and warmer spots like the Canary Islands. The first section is destinations for Christmas market lovers, where it lists the destination and provides a brief description. Then destinations for winter sun seekers. Here, again, the same pattern, and destinations for unique experiences. You can choose between Christmas experiences, a winter wonderland, or a sunny break. And I know this because I've used this before. I have tinkered around a little bit, that the sources that I've seen listed to the right-hand side don't necessarily end up being large platforms. A lot of the times they can also be travel blogs and not entire enterprises. However, you will see sources from Jet2 Holidays websites to Travel Off Path. There is a diversity of sources depending on how relevant they are to my query. I think what we can glean from this is that visibility is not really just about the size of your brand. It's also about how clean and structured the information is, and such as like information-rich content. In this case, information-rich travel guide is what AI mode is drawing from. If you're a short-term rental manager, your website could be a source provided your information is well structured and your content is optimized with useful, readable info. Okay. Now, this is a whole host of choices, and I don't really know how to decide. So maybe what I'll do is I'll tell it a little bit more about my party. Okay, so now my next input is going to be, we are a group of 10, including 4 kids between ages 2 to 8. And the idea is to see how that changes the information AI mode is serving for me, how contextual it becomes, and what changes basically. For a large group with young children in December, finding a destination that balances festive spirit with kid-friendly activities is key. Your best options include vibrant Christmas market cities like Copenhagen and Berlin, which offer dedicated children's areas and family-friendly attractions, or a milder climate city like Lisbon. Shout out Lisbon, that's where I am, where winter is gentle and there are plenty of indoor activities. The next subsection is festive holiday magic, in which it's listed Copenhagen, where it's best for Christmas market fun, other kid-friendly activities. And right below that are Google Map cards. There's a Google Maps integration. So if I could click through directly on, let's say, Copenhagen Zoo, and it will, from the right-hand side, the actual Google Maps listing for Copenhagen Zoo slides in. Next is Berlin, Germany. Again, similarly, I have more information about each of the destinations and destinations for milder winter. And then there are tips for traveling with a large group with young children. I want to read the first tip because it's about accommodation. It says, research accommodation. That's the number 1 tip. For a group of 10, renting a large apartment or a connected set of apartments is often easier and most cost-effective than booking multiple hotel rooms. Look for options with kitchens to save money on dining out. Now, this is interesting because this is kind of nudging me away from booking a hotel. But this doesn't seem to me a bias towards any one type of accommodation or another. Because it does make sense. If I'm traveling in a large group, perhaps we don't want to book, I don't know, 5 hotel rooms for 10 people. Instead, because we want to share spaces, we probably want to make sure that our children have plenty of spaces to play in, a lot of common areas. We probably want kitchen access to be able to whip up quick meals as needed, whether that's from a budgetary point of view or convenience or both. So if I didn't already know that I should be looking outside of hotels, Google AI mode is already nudging me in that direction. I think I saw Iceland somewhere, and since I haven't been to Iceland, I'm going to say Iceland sounds interesting. Iceland offers a magical winter landscape, and while it can be done with children in December, it requires careful planning for a large group with toddlers and young children. The extremely limited daylight and unpredictable weather are the main challenges, but the rewards include a festive atmosphere, opportunities to see the northern lights, and unique memorable activity. I'm going to nudge it towards Finland. I still need further help making up my mind because none of these are really standing out to me. So I'm going to ask it for more help. Where could be the most fun for kids during Christmas? Okay, so now one of the options that I see is Disneyland Paris. To me, that sounds like a really exciting trip for a group traveling with kids. And regardless of the type of interests of people in the family, there's something for everybody to do in Paris. So I'm going to choose Disneyland. Disneyland sounds fun. Let's see what we get next. Disneyland Paris is a fantastic choice for a large family group with young children during the holidays. From November 8 to 2025 to January 6, 2026, the park will host its Disney Enchanted Christmas season featuring special parades, shows, and festive decorations. And then it lists a bunch of highlights for things to do for families at Christmas. And then more tips for a large group with young children. I'm really interested in where we can stay. So staying with a large family, the first option I'm getting is the Davy Crockett Ranch, which is a ranch that offers woodland cabins that can sleep up to 6 people. It has an indoor pool, outdoor playgrounds, and a short drive from the parks. So if I click on Davy Crockett Ranch, Again, the Google Map card slides in from the right, where I can see everything that I can see on Google Maps about Disney and Davy Crockett Ranch. I can see the reviews, the number of reviews, whether it's a 3, 4, 5-star residence. I can filter by dates, the number of guests. I can go to the website, get directions. The first option that I see for pricing is booking.com, and the second is pt.bluepillow.com. Now, I think at this point, maybe my location is playing a factor, since the second option is actually a Portuguese website or a Portuguese domain for a website. Third option is Expedia, Agoda, hotels.com, etc. And I think what's interesting here is that I can see all the prices in one go. I can see the price for this accommodation across platforms in one place, which is super convenient for me to just get a quick look. I can filter by the dates. And I also know, unlike our last experience with Guide Geek, for instance, I know that this is more likely accurate and being updated in real time, which is a really, really key factor. But also what we can tell right now so far, because every time I click on a place, it's relying on the Google Map card, is that Google Maps is right now acting as like the backbone of AI mode. So hypothetically, if business's details are not seen clearly, then you may lose out on visibility in, of course, in Google search, but also especially now in AI mode, as more and more people start relying on AI mode to actually plan their travels, or at least build an itinerary or find somewhere to stay. The second option I'm getting for stay is offsite apartments. Look for apartments in the nearby Val d'Europe area. They often provide more space, kitchens for making your own meals, and free shuttle buses to the park. That's a big clincher for a family traveling for such a large group with kids and maybe don't want to bother with public transportation or figuring out transportation. And the third option is splitting the group. For some activities, it may be easier to split the group with one parent taking a toddler to a quieter area while the other enjoy a ride. Now, that's not so much about a stay, but it's useful information nevertheless. I'm going to ask it about, can you help us find accommodation? Then now I'm going to try and ask it to help me find accommodation in the Val d'Europe area, since it's suggested a neighborhood, but I don't really know about that neighborhood. So, and I've given it my dates. Let's see if we can book from within or what happens next. For Val d'Europe area near Disneyland Paris offers apartment style accommodations, which are ideal for a large group like yours, and many provide convenient shuttles to the park. Private rentals are another popular option for groups, providing space and cooking facilities. And on the right, I am seeing websites with listings for apart hotels in the area. The first source is Trivago, then the Disneyland Paris website, and then Agoda, more Agoda, Booking.com, and so on. The first option I got under apart hotels is Stay City Apart Hotels near Disneyland Paris. It simply makes the rest of the links disappear from the right-hand side source list, and only Stay City Apartments website is here. If I click on it, I am taken to the Google Map listing where I can find, from there I can go to the official website or book through any other website depending on the price or whatever my requirements are. Okay, that's interesting. So going back, it's telling me about Stay City Apart Hotels. It's telling me the location and that it's a short distance from parks. Spacious apartments plus villas that can accommodate up to 12 people. Amenities include free shuttle service, indoor pool, children's play area. Again, when we look at price options, the first option is the actual website of the business itself, and then there's Blue Pillow and the others. This is interesting. Below that is a separate section for private rentals. So it did mention that previously in the beginning of the answer, and now it's going into a little bit more detail. And in brackets, we see Airbnb and Vrbo because it's using private rentals synonymously with Airbnb and Vrbo. It says, for a group of your size, a private villa or a large apartment booked through a platform like Airbnb can be excellent value and comfort. You'll find more space. You might find kitchen facility, enhanced privacy, and how to book. So it's also telling me that I can search on Airbnb for Val d'Europe or Ceres and filter for the number of guests with dates. What happens Let's find out what the link associated with that is. Yeah, interestingly, the link is not for Airbnb. Then underneath that, we have budget-friendly hotels, and here within the answer, we have the map card and a little description of why this is a good option. Now, I want you to take a look at something interesting here. Now, when I click on the first hotel, it's suggesting to me budget-friendly hotel in this case, and all called B&B Hotel. When I click on it and the Google Map card materializes, when I look at here, when I look at prices, the first options I see are sponsored options. And in this particular scenario, the B&B Hotel website is also a sponsored option, but if they were not a sponsor, then the first option would be booking.com. So it doesn't really matter that it's your business. Unless you're sponsoring, you will not be the first option to appear under prices. That's important to know because Google has already indicated its willingness to roll out AI mode ads in the next, actually by the end of 2025. And this is advertising in action already. Obviously, this advertising is for Google Maps and not AI mode specifically, but it's interesting how this sponsorship on Google Maps, how these ads for Google Maps are influencing who or what appears already on Google AI mode. Now, when Google officially rolls out AI mode ads, then we don't know what that might mean yet, but it could affect what you see in the answers and who you see in the answers is likely going to affect that. But if you ask me personally, in my opinion, if you send any requests, if you ask any questions, I think the first sources or options to be shown to you are still the ones that are the closest match to your request. Because whether it's Google, whether it's Airbnb, whether it's booking.com, they all want to convert. So there is no point in showing me something that I may or may not book. But if there is an alternative choice they can present to me, which I am sure to book. What is the walking distance between your accommodation and local attraction? How do people get around when they're there? Where do they eat? How do they eat? All of that information, the more information and the more clearly you have that information on your listing and on your website, both on your listings on other platforms as well as on your own website, the better chance you have of appearing in not just AI mode, but even in Google search today. But also, one other thing this makes me think of is that it makes me wonder how the results might be impacted for platforms where content is AI generated and AI optimized. For example, booking.com. You don't really mention your own description of the property. It's standardized AI optimization that describes your property based on the information that you've provided. So it's already structured to be readable by Google. That's how it is already structured. However, on Airbnb, for example, you are free to describe your property as you like, more or less. You are still allowed to describe the property as you want. And the structure for that may not always match the way Google prefers or Google is capable of reading information. So, I mean, appearing in search is not just a matter of whether you've written the content, but also have you written it in a way that Google can read it. So that's also interesting to see whether whether this means that one platform has an advantage over the other or not. But we'll find out. If you run if you run hotel ads, or if you have a direct booking channel, if you have direct booking, here's another channel for you to promote yourself through these sponsored ads as well as AI mode ads whenever they come up. But you may also be bidding against larger platforms on your own listings. Now I've asked it to help me find private rentals. This is now an explicit request because it is one of the suggestions that it made to me. To find a private rental in Val Europe area for your group of 10 during December 12 to 18, you should use major booking platforms like Airbnb and Vrbo. And now already to the right, I can see options from Airbnb, from ckholidays.com, more Airbnb, and there's different search strings already created for me. There's also TripAdvisor, and I see Vrbo, Hospitable, Cascadia Getaways, and so on. Now it's describing Airbnb, so let's see what it has to say. Airbnb is best for a wide variety of properties from large houses to apartments. Search for keywords like house, villa, or large group. All right. For Verbo, it's telling us that it's best for family-oriented vacation rentals from houses to condos. This we know is at least in part a result of Verbo's own marketing. That's Verbo's own positioning. It's not that Airbnb does not have family-oriented vacation rentals or full, complete homes. It's just that Verbo's positioning makes that more explicit. Many listings on Verbo are managed by professional hosts or property managers. And then specialist booking sites. Interesting. One of the cool things about Google search is that you can reverse search images. You can use Google Lens to search pretty much anything using a photo. If you like an item of clothing, you see someone wearing it in real life, you can snap a picture, use Google Lens to find a similar, if not the same article of clothing, for example. So I want to see how much that applies to in case of a property. So I want to go to Airbnb and try to find Airbnb, use a picture and search that in AI mode to see if it can find me places to stay that are similar. So I'm just picking 12 to 18 December and guests, 6 adults and 4 children. That's a huge group. Okay, so this is where Val Europe is. Here's an apartment. Let's look at all the pictures. Okay, so maybe I don't want to use the street view. I want to use the image of the property itself without any cues for where it is and see if AI mode will find me something similar, if not the exact same property. I haven't saved the picture or downloaded it. I've just taken a screenshot, so the name of the image file will not be a giveaway either. Paste the screenshot of my picture and ask, how about a place like this? It tells me the apartment shown in the image is property from Welcome Properties, while the company is based in Portugal and specializes in properties in the Cascais, Lisbon, and Sintra areas. It also lists apartment for rent near Disneyland Paris. And then below that, I have various links for the exact same property. In fact, I have the link to the very same listing that I lifted this image from, in fact, which is Houseman Disneyland Paris. 10 minutes, 4 bedrooms, 10 people. If I click on it, it takes me to the exact same Airbnb listing. So this also makes discovery more convenient for a traveler. Rather, this is not the time. So for those of us who are inspired more visually, who plan travels through Pinterest boards, etc., on the vibe of the vacation that you want, this can also be a helpful tool. Okay, so what have we learned so far about Google AI mode and its impact on travel discovery, planning, and booking? So number one, discovery is not going to be separate from planning for much longer. In fact, the two are becoming the same thing because guests can now research, they can compare, they can plan entire trips without ever leaving Google. The AI mode right now cannot book a listing for me, book accommodation for me, or book flights for me. But we know that this is the plan for AI assistants, is to give them agentic capability so that eventually all these transactions are handled entirely after you've submitted your initial request by the assistant. So OTAs might become second stops and not starting points. In case of Google, especially, there's an advantage because we're all already very used to using Google for search and discovery. And now planning is the next step after discovery. And now Google is making it so that we can do that without ever leaving Google as well. It's just a more natural progression of things and less jarring for someone because we all already use it for search. The quality of your data, which is everything about your business, all the information about your business, is what will drive visibility. Your Google business profile, your pricing accuracy, your Google business profile, listing metadata, how accurately your listing is described and how well it matches with reviews left by guests, your Google business profile, the accuracy of your listing information, the richness of your listing information and of your business is going to decide visibility of your business as well. And again, if Google cannot read your data, it cannot recommend you. Paid placement is coming. Perplexity founders have already talked about introducing a paid sponsored layer in answers. We know that Google is on its way to monetizing that too. So that's going to add in another layer of competition with more sponsored listings appearing in AI mode as time passes. Again, like I said, I do personally think what really still matters in the end is how close is a result. What will eventually decide what shows up for me is the nature of my request, and the results that we prioritize for me will be based on the nature of my request. The closer they are to my request, the more likely I am to book them. So I think you will still win as long as it's clear who you are catering, who your ideal guest is, and who are you best positioned to serve. And finally, agentic booking is next. We know all the AI companies, all the tech companies have made the intention quite explicit. The idea is to make sure that everything can be booked within this same environment, so that you should be able to get inspiration for where you go, which you can already do, make an itinerary, and then also complete bookings. And think of the kind of convenience that could introduce for travelers, right? If I'm able to book using Google AI mode or any other similar tool, then it could set up alerts for me for when I need to book excursions. It could recommend excursions and even book them based on my preferences. Once I have given an approval, it could remind me when I need to send any information for check-in or share the itinerary or a more detailed itinerary with the rest of the people in my traveling party. Just a whole host of travel planning can be taken off my hands entirely if agentic capability, if, well, not if, but when agentic capabilities are introduced. Google's already testing the water with restaurant table booking reservations, agentic capabilities for those. I think Google has a partnership with OpenTable that you can, that AI mode will book restaurant tables for you, make reservations for you, and you can expect this to expand in many other ways. So yes, like the rest of the AI tools that I've tested so far, Google AI mode is still in early rollout mode. It's still very much discovery, planning, and not booking, but we are heading there. And already Google has an advantage over the rest, just in terms of the sheer richness of data and content and how that can help Google really give rich contextual responses. It is really well positioned to dominate this arena. I mean, it's already redefining the discovery stage. If you're a short-term rental manager, it's really time to start thinking about visibility beyond Airbnb, Booking.com, or Vrbo. There are a lot of opportunities available for you in terms of showing up in responses in AI mode and similar AI assistants. And soon it is going to become a non-negotiable, because maybe you don't want to depend on other platform and their capabilities in terms of how your listings show up or whether your listings show up. But if you want a higher level of control or a higher level of certainty that they will show up, you're going to have to start thinking about what changes can you make to make sure that your listings, your properties are showing up in AI mode. Because trip planning may soon begin and end right there inside Google. Thank you for tuning in. To keep up with this series, don't forget to hit subscribe. We are very much mid-transformation, mid-flux, and I would love to hear what you think about how AI agents are going to impact your short-term rental business, or how you see things developing. Let me know in the comments. Again, I'm Uvika Wahi from RSU by Price Labs. I'll see you next time. Bye.